Welcome into the Honolulu Blues Show, where we are joined by Minnesota State legend and Detroit Lions tight end Shane Zylstra. What is going on, my man? And thank you for coming on.
I appreciate you guys having me. What's good?
Shane, before we get into the actual questions, I got to ask, I don't know if you are in Michigan right now, but maybe some of your friends are. But if not, we got a crazy ice storm. So if you're in Michigan, what is this, ice storm on a scale of 1 to Minnesota to you? Because I know you're a Minnesota guy.
It's funny because I'm in Minnesota right now.
Okay.
And we're expected to get like 2 feet.
Oh, geez.
And I'd say that's par for the course here. When we first got to Michigan, my wife and my family, everyone was talking about these brutal Michigan winters, and we're like, all right, we're from Minnesota, we should be all right. We got there, we're like, this is the most mild winter we've ever had in our entire lives. So it's good. I'm glad you guys are getting a little snow, then you can get a taste of what we got over here in Minnesota.
And I will say, man, it was kind of a down year. I mean, my buddy is a huge ice fisherman. He's kind of turned me into one. And we've hardly been able to get out on, if you're not in the UP, the lakes are pretty much thawed right now. So it's a very light winter. So don't expect this for, every Detroit winter because it'll catch you off surprise. It could come in March. It could come in April. But
that's the Michigan winter. That when you get the snow, the feet of snow in June, you're like, well, all right, let's do this,
All right. No, we're prepared on that end.
Good to hear. Good to hear. All right, so let's take it back to the Lions standpoint. Obviously, you and your brother got called up right before the Packers game. What was it like, you and your brother being called up to the Lions, and then not only that, you scored your first touchdown against the Packers in that same week. So just tell me what, that kind of ride that was.
It was awesome, incredible. It was special because it's something that we've talked about for so long, and then for it to finally happen, and it just happened to be in the NFL on the Detroit Lions. It's just weird how things come full circle like that. It was special. I mean, that's all I can say about it. And then to score the first touchdown, and he was one of the first people that like greeted me on the sideline. I mean, it's just crazy to think.
Yeah, 100%. It's just, to play, I have an older brother, so kind of similar situation. But to be able to play sports with your brother, it's just a whole different competitiveness. And sometimes you want to play against him and beat him, but being on his team and just, fighting with him, there's a whole different, you grind, I grind. So
exactly.
Very, very cool.
We've trained in the off season a ton together. And I always kind of joked, how cool would it be if we were lined up on the same side of the ball. And, it just so happened that it happened to be this year.
That's
Hell
awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. What else is awesome is our beloved Detroit Red Wings are making a huge push in the NHL right now. Minnesota also sits in the playoffs on the other side of the division of the conferences. You've been going to any Red Wings games? You've been catching any of those? Because they're hot right now.
We went to one while I was back, and it was pretty electric. It was an awesome atmosphere.
Oh, I love going. The Little Caesars Arena does justice for them. Where does your loyalty lie for NHL?
That's tough. Allegiance wise, I mean, man, the most recent game I went to was in Detroit, so right, I kind of got to root for them. I haven't been to a Wild game in years, probably since I was a little kid. So we'll stick with Detroit on that end.
I love that. But I actually have a real question too. I just wanted to see where your thoughts were. Being a Minnesota guy, I gotta throw the Red Wings in there.
Right.
Hockey town. My question to you is: Dan Campbell obviously was a tight end when he played, and he's such a fun coach from what we see. But as a tight end, do you see him harp a little bit more on the tight end position specifically because that's what he played in the NFL and knows a little bit more about the ins and outs of that specific position, overall?
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, you said it. He'll spend a little bit extra time. He's going around, bouncing around rooms, talking with the offense. But I feel like every once in a while he'll step into the tight end room for a little bit longer than the rest, just to kind of see what we're talking about. He's always grabbing us in the hallway as tight ends and saying, on this play, did you see your footwork or did you feel it? Next time try this. And all that kind of stuff. I mean, he played it, right, and he, you know, for a long time and was successful. So I think, you know, it's near and dear to his heart. So yeah, he spends a little bit of extra time.
Love it.
How you doing, Shane? Glad to have you on the show. You know, it was great watching you this season, seeing you break out in that game against Carolina with those 3 touchdowns. It was huge, especially after we had just, you know, traded a guy like Hockenson away. You know, it was kind of a lot of uncertainty around the position. So you kind of like broke out big amongst the Lions fan base. I ain't gonna lie. So I just want to know, what's some hidden talent of Shane Zylstra, or like your favorite pastime, your favorite hobby? What's something that you want like Lions fans to know about you, like something non-football related?
Non-football related. I enjoy hunting and fishing. Not quite on the level that Frank Ragnow, but we were actually just texting. We're going to try to get out here. He's back in Minnesota as well. So we're going to get out and hopefully get on the water here soon, or on the ice soon. Growing up, and I talked about this on a different show, but growing up, we water skied competitively as a family. My dad drove the boats. We all skied. My brothers, I got 3 brothers. We all skied. My mom worked the concession stands, and we would, you know, travel around the Midwest and compete as a team. So it's pretty unique. A lot of people don't understand it. Yeah. They think it's just like the slaloming, but we were barefooting, if you know what that is.
Oh yeah.
You know, going over jumps, stuff like that,
nice.
as a team. So it was
I
pretty
bet
cool.
It was a blast growing up, I bet.
It was, yeah. We had a lot of fun.
Nice.
That's awesome. Oh, muted Adam. Dun dun dun.
I swear that's my favorite thing to do, man. I try to keep it quiet because
it's not even a rookie mistake anymore. No, Adam, you do this every show. It's just this is now we have to like have it part of the show. You know what I mean? It works. It works.
Well, Shane, you said you were good buddies with Frank Ragnow. So my question comes after your first touchdown. You went over and you gave the ball to Frank Ragnow to let him spike it after your first touchdown. And give me, what was that all about? You know, was it pre-planned? Was it just something spur of the moment? There's my boy, you do it, man. Or talk me through it.
It was a little bit of both. You know, Frank's my guy. And he just happened to be standing there, so I wanted to find him too. And he was running over, and I don't think the O-linemen get enough respect and recognition. So try to do my part, and you know, I didn't get there by myself, so had to give him a little shout out there.
Love it. And then not to mention that touchdown pass, you were wide open. So were you thinking like coming off that route, like, oh my gosh, Goff, right here, buddy?
Right. And you see Jared kind of like, you know, almost short arm it a little bit. He's like, those are the hardest throws, you know, just when you're that wide open. Yeah. I don't think on that specific play, I don't even think I was the first read, but it just happened that you just completely dropped me in coverage. So, you know, I kind of look over my shoulder a little bit and I'm like, there's no one around. Like, hopefully this ball comes to me. And sure enough, it did.
Nice. That's so awesome. And those are also not the hardest ones to throw, but hardest ones to catch too. Like when, like when you just can breathe and take a minute before you catch it, that's the worst. You just want it like right there and get it.
Yeah. Like I said with Jared too, like with that throw, it's a difficult catch too, because you just know that there's no one around, and you know you're going to be on SportsCenter, not top 10 if you don't catch it.
Oh no, that's hilarious. I love that comment. So I've said for years and years and years and years and years that tight end is the hardest position to play in the NFL. I truly believe that you are doing two different positions, and you need to be elite or excellent at your top level at both of those positions. One of which is the offensive line. You need to be one of the best blockers. That's probably one of the hardest things to do in the NFL is to block people. Like that's just ridiculous in my opinion. Running routes is hard, but blocking someone just barreling down on you is incredibly difficult. Now, obviously, you were an amazing wide receiver. You switch over to tight end. What is like the hardest thing about that? What's the hardest thing about that?
The hardest, I mean, you said it. Blocking is there's some big dudes, you know, lined up on the other side of the ball. So, you know, I'm a little undersized, you know, coming from a receiver as a receiving tight end, but probably just the footwork and the blocking and all that goes with it, the technique of it all. I did quite a bit of blocking. We were a run-first operation at Minnesota State. So I did quite a bit of blocking, but definitely not in line, hand in the dirt like that. I was on the outside blocking corners and safeties the whole time. So, blocking the TJ Watts, the Micah Parsons, all those guys of the world, it's tricky.
I want to follow that up real quick, just with so far in your NFL career, out of the games that you've played, who is the hardest person you've had to try to block so far in your career?
It's a good question. I gotta say probably like Zadarius Smith or Daniil Hunter. I mean, they're big. Dang. They're big, they're fast, and they are super long.
Oh man, that's awesome. Okay.
Is there real quick, Julius, before you get into your question, is there any type, like, what's the hardest? As like, I'm ask you, is it different to defend, a move, like a spin move, a bull rush, being a tight end as opposed to an offensive lineman? Or are you guys kind of taught the same, here's what to do when a bull rush comes, here's a spin move? Or
I mean, we're taught similar techniques, I guess, but they have a lot more weight, to anchor down on a bull rush. And so there's some different nuances to the technique, just because we're two different body types, you know what I mean? But, essentially the base of it all is just, it's all the same.
Stop the guy from getting to the quarterback.
That's the simplest way to put it. Don't let your guy make the tackle.
Yeah.
Right. Hey Shane, much has been noted of the Lions assistant coaches on the team and the staff that Dan Campbell has assembled, and that goes along with the tight end and the tight end groups. So I just want to know, what's it been like working with Tanner Engstrand, the tight ends coach with the Lions, and what's the overall atmosphere in the tight end group in the locker room? It's
good. We're an extremely close group. We were there all the OTAs together and all the training camp, and we got really close. Even when TJ was there, and we still all talk to TJ. Awesome. He's an awesome dude. So we'll text back and forth. But yeah, I mean, we were really close. Tanner did a great job this year, coming in his first year as being a tight ends coach. He started a little bit last year, but this was his first full year with the group. Mm-hmm. And now he's moving on, and now we got a new tight end coach. So the show goes on, and we're happy with this new coach from the Cardinals, Coach Hayden. So we're excited to meet him. We had a chat on the phone the other day, and awesome. He's amped up. He's ready to go. But like you said, these assistant coaches, they're awesome. I think what sets them apart the most is probably just their experience. A lot of them have played in the league and know what it's like to play. So I think that aspect of it is just so invaluable.
Definitely.
All right, Shane. Nick, you previously mentioned earlier about your big 3-touchdown game against the Panthers. So this joins a list of Cloyce Blocks, Marvin Jones, Herman Moore, Leonard Thompson, Calvin Johnson twice, Joe Fourier, the only other Lions tight end, Roy Williams, and yourself to score 3 receiving touchdowns in a single game. Talk me through what it was like, and talk me through, I guess, the somber part, because we all know it did come when the Lions were trailing, and typically when you have 3 touchdowns in a game, it's like you want to celebrate. But was it tough to it then?
No doubt. When we're down as bad as we were in that game, it's hard to get excited. Like in the back of your mind, obviously you think about it like, oh man, there's 1 touchdown. It was my second of my career in the season, all that. And you think about it, then the second one comes and you're a little bit more juiced up, but then you look at the scoreboard and you're still down. So you're just trying to fight and claw your way back. Obviously those points are helping, but I guess I should have scored more because, they got the better of us.
Well, another fun fact, I don't know if you or any of your buddies play fantasy football, but you scored more points than Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews combined. So did any of your buddies, if they do play fantasy football, hit you up and say like, hey man, why didn't you tell me to start you if you're going to go up like that?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I get a lot of buddies saying that, stuff like that. At the beginning of the year, they'll send me a little picture that they drafted me and whatnot. And I'm like,
that's awesome.
All right, guys, let's cool it, right? Like, especially when TJ was there, like, you guys just wasted a draft pick on me. Come on. But, could have claimed me off waivers or something. But no, it's all fun. You get that, and you get a lot of fans that get really into it and get some angry DMs. It's all good.
My dynasty league, brother.
There you go.
get any angry DMs after that 3 touchdown game? Because I feel like it was right smack dab championship week.
It was, and I got a lot of angry DMs.
Man.
Oh my God.
For people that had started me on the other end. So
Yeah. Oh,
That's
all good fun though.
That Carolina field, was it like playing on concrete? That's what I hear.
It was bad. It was really bad. Nothing like I've ever played on. I played in some really cold games playing in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And that might take the cake. It was really slippery. And you can kind of see it even in the very first touchdown I had. It's like a simple kind of out corner route, type thing. And you can just see me like methodically stepping, just trying not to slip. And it's not even like a, difficult route per se, where I'm doing a sharp cut or anything like that. But you can just see me really slowly working the angle just because I didn't want to slip. And that was right at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, you could see it from the kickoff. You could just see it. So my question, I think this is my last question. This has been awesome. My last question is about our offensive coordinator who stayed home to come back to Detroit. And in his words, is because there is something very special being built here. But Ben Johnson is very under the radar. He's no one knows much about him. He doesn't get a lot of airtime. Tell us a little bit about who Ben Johnson is inside the locker room.
I think you saw it this year, but he's a mastermind. Like you said, he's very under the radar, in the media. And I think this year put him on the map, obviously, he's getting all these interviews and whatnot, but he's an absolute mastermind and just harps on the details. And just, he has this vision for this offense. And we saw it come to life this year and it was awesome, but he has this vision for this offense of just, every little detail is the most important thing. Whether you're on the backside or, front side, it doesn't matter. Like everybody has a job, everybody has a role. And, those aspects are really important to him.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Shane, my last question for you before we let you go out of here. It's a question that's being asked a lot, among Lions world, and you've been playing for Dan Campbell and the Lions both seasons he's been there, and you've been able to be a part of the culture that's being built. What do you think is the ceiling of the 2023 Detroit Lions going into next year? What do you think is the heights that can be reached by this team?
I don't think there is any ceiling, honestly. And you saw the way we finished, at Lambeau. Yeah, exactly. I love that. At Lambeau, under the lights. I think that just shows our trajectory and, our upward climb. We started the season tough, and it wasn't looking good, but we just slowly got better and better each game, each week. And, I think that's going to carry a lot of momentum into this offseason and into next season.
Right. It means a lot to hear that.
Yeah. Well, Shane, these were awesome questions. Some good stories you had for us. We really appreciate the time that you gave us on here. As always, go Lions. And, anything you want to let the Lions fans know before you get out of here?
Just keep tuning in, keep cheering for us. We hear you. We hear you on the field. Last year was electric. And it was actually when I first came here, or when I first got to Detroit last year, and it was one of the first games. After the first few games, we weren't doing well, and there's still fans showing up, and I'm like, man, if this place starts winning, this place is going to go nuts. Yeah. And you saw it. As we started winning, the stands got more full.
I lived it.
It got louder and louder and louder, and, we hear you, so we appreciate it.
Sure.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
We appreciate you, man. Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate it.
No doubt. I appreciate you guys having me.
Cheers.
Yes, sir, man. You're always welcome back as well.
Yeah.
Of course.
Awesome.
All right. That was Shane Zylstra. Shout out to him for coming on the show. If you guys if you're just tuning in now, we did have Lions TE Shane Zylstra on. Rewind it a bit, check the YouTube, whatever. It was a great interview. Julius, any little things to take out of this? I thought that, the ending about what he said about the fans, that was really cool. And it kind of really showed the loyalty of Detroit Lions fans.
You're definitely right about that, Adam. And you could just tell he's into it. He's into the culture. When I asked him that question about the Lions ceiling, how he says there is none. And we remember going back to our interview with Jason Kabinda, how he said the Super Bowl was the ceiling, which is pretty much echoed by Shane. I mean, it's just great to hear from Lions players on the roster, ready to go into next year and show us what a winning football team feels like. That was an awesome interview.
That was so awesome. Yeah, he had just his stories, his answers, everything was great. I loved to know a little bit more about him. Big hunter, big fisher. You know, I mean, that's super cool stuff that we didn't know about. So that's awesome, and it's great. He really did let us in kind of on the inside of the locker room a little bit. Dan Campbell coming in and Ben Johnson, and that's awesome. That's the kind of stuff you don't know. You just assume you think, So that's cool.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool to also kind of ironic. I don't know if you guys realize this, but I want me to make a bold statement and say we're the only Lions podcast to interview the only 2 tight ends to have 3 touchdowns in one game.
Oh, man, we absolutely can say that. Friend of the show, Joseph Fourier. Friend of the show, Shane Zylstra. 6 combined touchdowns in 2 games. Only the Honolulu Blues. That's the kind of material you'll get when you tune in to the Honolulu Blues.
Absolutely. All right. I do actually, before we got here, I do have, one legit question for you guys about, some players we should sign or re-sign. I think Nick or Julius, one of you two, you put this out on Twitter, and I'll read out the results. But it was, if you could only re-sign one of these players, who'd you choose? And I thought the 4 were very, very similar, and the results showed out that it was pretty tight. So Isaiah Buggs, John Kaminsky, DJ Chark, or Deshaun Elliott. You can only re-sign one. Nick, who are you doing? Who you taking?
I did post this question, and I did think this was a very good one. And I know my answer, and I believe I put him number 1 because he's my answer. Isaiah Buggs. Isaiah Buggs is so big and keen on our defense. Even if we draft a defensive tackle, an interior defensive lineman in the first round, second round, even if that happens, Buggs is so vital to this defense. Kaminsky is a close number 2, and you can argue Kaminsky with me all day, Shark all day, Elliott all day. They're all fun. I want to bring them all back, obviously, but I would go with Isaiah Buggs, because the interior defensive line is what wins games. That's what stops the run. And we finally saw that last year with Aleem McNeil really stepping up, and Isaiah Buggs, who caused the fumble against Delvin Cook. Just a ton of great plays from Buggs. We saw in the preseason. I remember posting a video in the preseason of him hawking down a quarterback for a 1-yard gain, but he sprinted to the sideline as fast as he could, caught this quarterback, took him down. It was just amazing. I want Buggs back. I want them all back, but I would take Buggs number 1 overall.
I like it. Julius, how about you?
This was a very hard question. All these free agents, man, I just want to bring them back too. I really do, all 4 of them. I think out of the 4, I would be most okay with DJ Shark not returning, even though I want him back too.
Yeah,
but
I like that.
I can't say Isaiah Buggs because my answer is John Kaminsky, because the impact he had on the defensive line that we did not have when we did not have him on the defensive line. It's just, I can't ignore it. You know what I'm saying? And I think he can definitely be a part of the rotation on that defensive line going into next year. And I think he deserves a raise, and we found a diamond in the rough. There are a lot of teams that put a waiver claim out for this guy. So, I mean, I think we need to keep him the most. I really think him and Hutchinson got a little thing going on in this NASCAR package where they kind of crisscross each other and do stunts. It's highly effective. So Isaiah Buggs, as much as I like the leadership he brings to the locker room and the girth he brings to the middle of the defense, and I love DJ Shark and how he can stretch the field for us if we need to, or catch a first down to possibly end Aaron Rodgers' Packers career. I'm going to have to go with Kaminsky because he is a beast. You know what I'm saying? Just watch a Kaminsky highlight. He's like a Viking. And he doesn't play for the Minnesota Vikings, He's like our Lion Viking.
I'm a man. I'm a Minnesota Viking.
Like that kind of barbarian, like warrior on the team.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
And we saw the best of his work with a club on his hand.
Oh my goodness, yeah, the club hand. That was sick.
He looks like
he can use his hands.
He looks like a villain almost out of a comic book. Like he's out to get you.
Well, he made honestly like Nick. I know you're saying that the Bugs forced fumble on Dalvin Cook. How about the Kaminsky forced fumble on Aaron Jones?
Yes, absolutely.
That was huge. So yeah, Julius, I think I'm gonna have to side with you, Kaminsky, on this one. I'm right with you, Nick. I'm with you both, honestly. Like it's a coin toss, but gun to my head, I just want to say Kaminsky, just because I feel like part of some Lions fans might think, oh, I didn't hear about Kaminsky the entire season. It was just a few games. Well, that was because he was injured for 4 games. So had Kaminsky started this season, or maybe he got injured week 1 or 2, but he was injured early this season. So who knows, what extra he could have done. And granted, Bugs, similar situation where he wasn't injured, just didn't get the play time, and then kind of evolved into, a better player getting more play time. So for me, I'm going Kaminsky, but what the fans said was a little interesting. They did side with us on John Kaminsky at 32%, but the rest was very tight. Number 2 was DJ Chark with 25%, 3 Isaiah Bugs 22%, and 4 Deshaun Elliott with 21%. And this is across 2,377 votes.
Very awesome. Thank you for everyone for voting.
I am surprised Deshaun Elliott didn't get more votes because of how thin our secondary currently is.
But I think everyone just thinks Kirby Joseph can do everything.
Yes, that's it. And people are like, well, Tracy Walker, he'll be back week 1, which I'm not locking that in, Achilles are tough.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely. Yeah.
And then, boys, I do have one other question because it is the talk of the Lions right now, and he's not even a Lion. He might be. That's Jalen Ramsey. So are you guys in or out? And if so, what is your top dollar price you're going to pay?
I'm in, and I don't know where his contract is. It would have to be a trade, right? Or no, they would release.
It has to be a trade, yeah.
A trade.
Oh, it'd be a trade. Oh,
so that's the interesting part. So, would you be willing to give up? Maybe that pick 18.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to give up
just 18. That. Like, well, I mean, what else?
Just
I mean, if it's just that,
and maybe some ticky tacky, 24th, 5th.
I love Jalen Ramsey as a Lion. I think he fits our culture and our mold very well.
I have to agree, Nick. I'm down with the Jalen Ramsey for pick 18 train. If that happens, I will be happy.
Yeah, I agree. I would do that.
And he's a guy that we don't really have like big time leadership or veteran presidency leadership in our secondary. I guess we have Tracy Walker, but he was injured, so he's not on the field. Kirby Joseph, rookie. Deshaun Elliott only been with the Lions 1 year, might not even be back next year. So if we could get Jalen Ramsey, he automatically comes in as the commander of the secondary, and not just we get Ramsey's talent. I guarantee you he's going to teach Jerry Jacobs a thing or two and Jeff Okudah a thing or two, and maybe just maybe show Amanio how to get away with the holding penalty.
I don't know if Amanio's gonna be our team next year, but
that's actually a good point. I forgot. Yeah, Amanio will be.
But I mean, I don't know. I agree. Ramsey is just amazing. You saw he was playing as hard as he could for the Lions, basically in the last week of the game, or last week of the season, excuse me, for a game that really didn't matter for the Rams, and he gave it all he had because he's a true gamer and a true winner, and will do everything he can. What scares me is that I know his age isn't. He's only like 26 or 27 or something like that. If we could find the next Jalen Ramsey at pick 18, because there's a lot of good cornerbacks coming out this year, and at pick 18, maybe Christian Gonzalez is there, maybe even Devin Witherspoon is there.
I mean, no, he was 4th overall, but like that, it's
cornerbacks.
It's there,
cornerbacks are just Tariq Woolen was a 5th rounder and led all rookies in interceptions. Like, there's more and more cornerbacks coming and ready to play. Right out the gate.
I think so too. We've also started to see it with Patrick Surtain, JC Horn, a couple of young guys like that who, immediately lock down cornerbacks. So, Jalen Ramsey, I got his contract up right here. He's currently signed through 2025. So the Rams could hold on to him and, look to trade him this year or next
year.
But
I think he's going to be a cap casualty is what they're saying, or a trade.
Okay.
That's what I've been reading from the internet, and most of the time the internet is not right, so I don't know.
He's got a 32 million cap hit, or dead cap hit, and then 25 million straight up cap hit. So yeah, they'd have to pay him $25 million to play cornerback. And it's like, if you don't really believe in, honestly, this could come down to like Stafford, because if they know Stafford's just, not his peak performance self, they know we're going to take a swing at this, but we're not what we were when we made our Super Bowl run, then that could be our golden ticket on how to get Jalen Ramsey. But I don't think, anything's going to be, done or pushed through anytime soon. But if it does, I think it'll be right around draft time.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill said he wouldn't mind playing with Jared Goff either.
I know.
Everybody wants to play with Goff.
It won't matter if Jameson Williams goes off of 1,500 next year. You know what I'm saying?
Could you imagine?
Add Tyreek Hill to Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra?
27 boys. Lions are coming off their second Super Bowl win, fourth straight NFC Championship win, and we get Tyreek Hill as a free agent saying, I want to, come team up with superstar Jameson Williams. I just saw him go for 1,800 yards and Amon-Ra go for 1,500 yards. I want a part of this. Lions have 3 1,500-yard receivers. Goff goes crazy, throws for 5,000
Tyreek Hill is what, in 2027, 32 years old, 33 years old?
He's 33. So
yeah.
A little old, but if
let's calm down, boys. All right. What are we, Kevin Feige setting up the phase 7 MCU? What are we doing here?
I just need that speed. So if those legs are still I'm in.
I mean, I guess, yeah. It's a big decline.
But then again, we kind of have seen how veteran wide receivers have done with like Julio Jones and
Deshaun Jackson. That's immediately who I think of when we think
that's
of
actually
like
a great day. That's what Tyreek Hill's going to be in 33. He'll have,
I know what I'm thinking. Yeah, exactly.
Like one play the entire season, on some random team where you're like, he's still got it.
In 2027, people won't even remember who Tyreek Hill is. They'll be like, who? Did you mean Jameson Williams, the fastest player in the NFL? I don't know who this Tyreek Hill is because I've never seen someone as fast as Jameson Williams. And that is what people will say in 2027.
Absolutely.
Let's hope.
We know.
All right, boys. All right, I'm having too much fun. I'll give you guys another question. Not so much a question, kind of just some awesome news. And I guess we were talking about this. Was there any type of Lions news going on? And it's like, nothing, big, pretty much just, Jalen Ramsey rumors, other rumors, this, that. But the good news we have,
but Ben Johnson, go ahead.
That too. Calvin Johnson. Yeah, I think it finally appears that we have won him back. It seems like he is in good graces with the Lions. I'm truly expecting him to be at Lions events. I don't know how many, I don't know which ones, but by the looks at the sounds of his interviews with Jim Rome, his tweets, and, just everything else he's doing with Detroit, it looks amazing. And I don't know if Sheila Fordham is behind this, but I assume she is, and job well done. This was the final piece of the puzzle. The rebuild has gone flawlessly perfect, and now you're getting Calvin Johnson back in Ford Field. We love it.
Yeah, he cited someone, and I'm drawing a huge blank. He
did say so. It was like Michael something, right?
He's the COO. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. Sorry for that, gentleman, who seems to have literally single-handedly mended the fences between Calvin Johnson and the Detroit Lions. So if that's the case, and he's the bridge to get Calvin back to Detroit.
He just pulled out his pocketbook and was like, damn it, how much?
I don't think that was it. I think it was complete opposite, actually. I think he was the first person to be like, yo, you do you, Calvin. You shouldn't come back here until everything's right, and probably gained his trust, not menacingly or anything like that, but became a friend. And Calvin was like, okay, let's right this wrong. Let's finally do this. We're all in calm heads. We grudges, bygones be bygones. Let's move forward. You know what I mean? Hopefully, I don't know what went behind the scenes, but I'm just super happy that Calvin comes back.
I think Calvin's thinking these Detroit Lions, they're getting pretty good, and I want to be around them Lions when they're peaking. So
no, Calvin, he's not a bandwagoner like that. Calvin,
of course.
Calvin he's
a day one.
Yeah, he had day one, and he was, low blowed by the previous, kind of Lions brass that didn't, honor his contract and honor, what he gave to the Lions, and so I'm glad that he's back around because he's my favorite Lion in my lifetime, and so that's great.
Yeah, it really is great. I'm super happy with it.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up this Calvin Johnson video right now, but that's what that was. That was Calvin Johnson getting ready to talk, but I was trying to figure out the guy that mended the relationship, the guy we need to thank. But nonetheless, Calvin Johnson back in good graces with the Lions. So it seems like, man, like this is building blocks. We're getting ready for, the madness to happen. So I'm excited.
Disner. Sorry. COO Disner. Maybe Michael Disner is his name.
Okay.
For helping mend the relationship with the team. Sounds like that dude single-handedly saved these two together. Like the relationship.
Something. Yeah. Just like
shout out to him. Huge.
What if there was just like, how funny if there was just some sort of like small miscommunication where it was like, no, like, wait, you guys think Calvin like wants, 50? No, he just wants, and the Lions are like, wait, so this whole time you mean all we had to do was just give him a hug or something? I don't know, something silly like that, or like,
maybe, I don't know. Whatever it was, I'm glad we found out. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, just get him back in our field, in our stadium. He said in the interview too that in the Jim Rome interview that he wouldn't mind helping out some of the players too. And I was like, dang, could you imagine Calvin wide receivers coach with Dan Campbell? Woo! Sign me up.
Please.
That's the dream right there, man.
Dream.
Like, oh my gosh. That would be so cool. Yeah. He would draw so not just like fans, but like respect to the team too. Because
free agents.
Yeah, free agents.
Free agent receivers for sure. Yeah.
I mean, unless you guys want to, give up our first round pick and a fourth for T. Higgins.
Oh my gosh, Pro Football Focus, what are you doing?
Like, come on, guys.
What I tweet, I was like, have you lost your mind? Because I'll help you find it.
that whole like, have you lost it? The Stanley voice.
Yeah. Boy, have you lost your mind? Because I'll help you find it. That's exactly what I thought when I saw that. That one, what was the other one? For I think it was Lamar. It was like Jared Goff, 3 first rounders or whatever for Lamar. I was like, this would be the dumbest stuff I've ever seen in my life. Like,
and
what?
It's like the thing is, if we're gonna do that, might as well just take like Anthony Richardson. Like, if we're gonna go like that, balls to the wall with like running quarterback, take Anthony Richardson. And I'm not advocating for like at 6, So that's the smarter choice. But at pick 18. I wouldn't be opposed. Also, shout out to this little like beam of light that pops in and out every now and then. Great lighting you have in the office, Dad. But all right, boys. I think that should wrap it up. As you guys know, we're the Honolulu Blues Show. You can check us out on Twitter and Instagram now at Honolulu Blues _. Check us out individually at Nick Faber NFL for Nick. The 5th top for Julius. Well, I got that right with the flip-flop. And I don't even need to follow me. Just follow Honolulu Blues. Double time for Honolulu Blues for myself.
Oh, you're making us look bad, man. Golly, gee. Maybe I changed mine to Honolulu Blues. Thank you, Shane Zylstra. You are.
Yeah, shout out Shane Zylstra. I should have asked him, can you say your name 5 times fast? Shane Zylstra. Shane Zylstra.
Yeah, that's tongue twister. If you're just tuning in, because I just put it on all these groups, go watch the very beginning. We had tight ends, 4 touchdown catching Shane Zylstra on the show. It was amazing.
Yes, sir. All right, folks. Next week, it's looking like we're going to be back to regular episodes. I know you guys have had a blast seeing Lions players come on each and every week, but we got to talk about the offseason. We got to talk about free agents.
Party City.
The draft, the combine, the Mobile. What do they play in Alabama? The Senior
Bowl.
Free agency.
The Senior Bowl. All sorts.
Which I missed this year, but next year we'll be doing a live show from Mobile. Maybe all of us or whoever wants to go down there with me.
I'm definitely going to try to get on that, Nick. The only reason I didn't pursue is because I knew you were dealing with your wedding or something.
I got honeymoon stuff coming up and all that.
So
too much stuff.
Next year,
Disney trip.
Be like, honey, last year was for you, this year for me. Anniversary. Let's do it.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining in, and